the Jordan Baker special, which is, Jordan tosses it to a running back, usually Spencer, and then Spencer would throw the ball to Jordan as he's going down the sideline for a touchdown. Like, that's cool. Like I said, this is my first named role. Like, before that, I had one role where I was in one scene on a show called Empire, doubles, but in the show, Daniel and I did a lot of our own stuff because we wanted to.
So that's by your choice because you guys can do it.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Cody as well.
Season 7's officially out.
Yes, it is.
How does it feel creating a character that had such a crazy arc? Like, how do you figure that out?
With the help of the writers. The help of the writers and our lovely, showrunner, NK. But it's really just, for me, it's been kind of trial and error and figuring it out as I go, leaning onto the people that I need to, such as like my coach. I had a coach that I worked with from the Stella Adler Academy in Hollywood, and I leaned heavily on her for the first 5 seasons just because this is my first show. This is like my first opportunity for something this big, this magnitude. So I did everything in my power just to soak up not only from her, but also from like Tay Diggs and Daniel Ezra and Monet and Samantha Logan, Greta Onieogou and Cody Christian, all of my cast. Truthfully, I did everything in my power to soak up as much as I could because they're so well versed in this business, and this was like not their first rodeo, whereas it was my very first rodeo. So I can remember in season 1, like I'm in a scene with Daniel and Tay, and I would just be getting lost in what they're doing because it's like captivating and beautiful. And it was nothing that I knew what I was doing to a degree, but at the same time, like I said, this was my first named role. Like before that, I had one role where I was in one scene on a show called Empire, and I was a handsome dude. That was my title. So very, very deep, powerful work that one scene was. So to jump into Jordan Baker and be a lead on a show was unheard of for me. So I was just doing everything in my power to like learn from the best.
It really is a crazy story how you came out here and got this.
Yeah, I know. I'm a very fortunate individual. It's just like right place, right time, like luck and, right place, right time for sure.
When you got to set on that pilot that day, did it feel promising? Like, did everyone tell you like, oh, this could be something?
We all kind of felt pretty, we were excited at the end of the pilot. Like, wow, this is cool. This would be great if we got picked up. But a lot of the actors were like, we've been here before. Like I've been on sets that have, everyone's like, this is going to go the distance, this is going to go forever, and then it doesn't get picked up. So I think all of them, taught me in this moment of just being like, this is an exciting time. And like, we did this and we should be proud. But at the same time, don't get your hopes up. Because like, you have no idea. It could be the network's favorite pilot. It could be the showrunner's favorite pilot, but then it could go into not testing, but what is it called? Whenever they show it to a bunch of random people, and it tanks, and then they're just like, all right, scrap it, on to the next.
Were you going out for other auditions during that period?
Yeah, well, not whenever I booked it. So whenever I booked it, All American was in first position, and like that's what I focused on. But I can remember I auditioned for Jordan. The first initial, actually it's coming up, was on Valentine's Day. It was on Valentine's Day, and it was like on Wednesday.
Happy 7 years?
Yeah, coming up on 7 years. And I remember as I was leaving the first initial audition, I remember it was on Warner Brothers, which I was like, this is the first time I've ever like been on Warner Brothers, which is like iconic. A kid from Indiana, small town, and all the countless films that we watched growing up, Looney Tunes, whatever, everything else, you see the studio in the Warner Brothers emblem, as the movie begins. So to be able to, get a pass that says your name and like Warner Brothers, I remember just like feeling just beside myself, truthfully. And I can remember doing the audition, and as I'm walking out, the casting director, her name was Kamala, I can't remember her last name. She was basically like, we'll see you on Friday. I was like, oh, okay. And again, this was my 11th in-person audition. Ever.
For anything.
Yeah.
So then was that a callback?
That was a callback. When I was like, oh, okay, cool. I don't really know what that means. But then I remember calling my manager, and he's like, oh, okay, cool. That's fantastic. It's a callback. And I was like, oh, shit, cool, yeah.
That
yeah.
walk back to your car is like, what is
The walk back to the Uber, baby. No, yeah, it was just like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, let me not get too excited. That was kind of what when I was here for the pilot season back in 2018, what I wanted to tell myself was like, don't get too excited. Don't get too excited. Like, you're here to do a job. If you earn a job, fantastic, but it's probably not going to happen. Just, logically, realistically, it's probably not going to happen. I'm going to get here and make connections. That's going to be my first initial thing, just being here. That's my priority, is just to make as many connections as I can, earn an agent.
Were you sleeping on your friend's couch at that point?
No. I was supposed to. I was supposed to sleep on a homie's couch from Indiana, actually. And whenever I landed, he was like, yeah, dog, sorry. My roommate said you can't stay. And I was like, cool. Copy. That's great timing, brother. So I remember I blew like half of my budget on an Airbnb in North Hollywood.
Your budget of what you came out with to live on?
Which was like $3,500, by the way. Yeah, because it was like I was only going to be out here for 4 months.
Test out Hollywood.
Hollywood, do all the things, right? But I didn't ever have intention of like, all right, this $3,500 is going to last me forever. I'm going to get a job. That was never my intention. My intention was to come out, audition as much as I could. If I earn something, great. But like, I don't want to spend my time here working as a server and think that. Like, I had a job in Indiana. I didn't need to do that.
Did you know many people out here?
No. I knew the friend who I didn't end up sleeping.
Let you stay with.
And then my manager. And that was it. Yeah, that was it. And so that fell through. I got an Airbnb. I stayed there for like 2 weeks. That's all it lasted me. In that 2 weeks, I made a friend, actually, who was friends with my friend. And he was gracious and kind enough, his name is Akono Dixon, to allow me to sleep on his floor. So I was sleeping on his floor from like February 5th to like March like 8th or like 9th or something like that. It's like by the time, yeah. And so it really wasn't too bad. I had an air mattress, kept popping on the radiator, and which was crazy. So then I would like duct tape it over, try to blow it back up in the middle of the night, and it just kept popping. And I was like, I don't want to buy another air mattress. Like, funds are starting to deplete, because I didn't realize you can't like walk around in LA. Like I had been to New York and I experienced New York, and I'd seen like, oh, I can just walk to places that I need to go. LA is like, okay, you have an audition in Burbank, and then you have an audition in Hollywood, and it's like that's gonna cost you, and it adds up quickly. So I was very frugal and just kind of doing everything I could to save money. But yeah, no, staying on the floor, and I had enough sleep, I guess, to nail the part. So here we are.
And then when you get that call back, how after do you realize that you got the role?
No, yeah. So it was a long process. I got the initial call back, and that Friday session was with the producers. So I met April Blair, who was the creator. I met a couple people from Berlanti's camp, and then the 2 casting directors were there. We had our session. It was cool, and then I remember leaving. Call my manager. Yeah, it was cool. Whatever. Da da da. He gets an email. They want you for a test, which is like a studio test, which is like after, okay, we've done the initial audition, did the callback, they liked me enough, now they're going to studio test, which means you're going to sign your contract, right? You're going to basically, here's a contract for 6 years. This is the amount of money that you're going to pay. We're going to pay you. And if you sign this contract, then we go from the studio to the network. And so you go into the studio, you go back to Warner Brothers, which is cool. You go into the head of television's office. At the time was Peter Roth. And when I tell you that was one of the most nerve-wracking auditions I've ever had, because you're in a conference room, first of all. And in this conference room was myself, Greta Onieogou, Samantha Logan, and then a couple of the people who I don't know. But we were all kind of just in there, like in holding, if you will, and they call you in one by one, and you go in and you do a chemistry read with Sam. I did a chemistry with Greta. Are
there other guys that kind of look like you that are auditioning for the role?
So like Mason Gooding was there. He was the other like version of Jordan, which is a little bit more edgier version, I think. But you go into Peter Roth's office, which is a massive office with just a bunch of executives sitting facing the fireplace, Peter Roth somewhere in this pile of people, and you go in, you stand in front of the fireplace, and I was just like, let me lock into my reader. I don't want to have to look at anybody else, because there's so many just powerful people just like mean mugging you, because they want to turn the pressure up. They want to make it as intense as possible, because if you don't fold under the pressure, then they know that you can handle, a full, session or a full series, if you will. So they didn't give me any type of feedback with their faces, but I was like doing my best not to look at their faces. You do the audition and you leave. And then I think 2 days later, Frederick got a call, my manager got a call, and they were like, okay, we're going to push you to the network. Same situation. Go to the CW building.
So now you're on to round 2.
Now we're on the round 2 of the testing, right? Same situation, big conference room, less people. It's just me, Greta, Mason, and Sam. And we're like, okay, cool. This is got it down to brass tacks. We're down to the wire here. And same situation. Go in, chemistry read, go in solo, do your audition, and then you leave. And
are you feeling like your dreams are coming true? Or does it still feel pretty out of reach?
No, it doesn't feel, because again, even if I book this pilot at this point, if I book this pilot, I could get to set the first day and they could be like, no, you're not cutting it. That could happen. You could shoot the pilot and not get picked up. You could shoot the pilot and then the series gets picked up, but you don't get picked up. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different things that can happen. So I was not even thinking about that yet. I was really just like, let me focus on this. This is insane. The fact that I'm even in this running is very wild. I can remember the audition, the last scene of the audition. Jordan leaves in the scene. He's mad at his dad for some reason, and he leaves the scene. And so I was like, let me make a bold choice. And so I'm in this theater.
You made a bold choice on the spot?
On the spot, because I was like, I got to do something. So in the CW test, you're in a theater, right? So you go into this soundproof room, and it's like 8 rows of seats, like a movie theater. There's a TV above your head. You're standing on a mark, and there's a camera right here. It's like the people in the back can see. And so I'm doing my scene. At the end of like the very last scene, Jordan, in the script, walks out and leaves. So I was like, I'm just going to, fuck it, let me just walk out and leave. So I do it. I deliver my line, and I just walk out. I don't come back to the conference room. I don't come back to the theater. I go back to the conference room. And I was like, either that's going to work or that's going to like kill every single chance, because maybe they wanted to give me notes, but I didn't even get the opportunity to. So 2 weeks later, I get a call from the creator, April Blair. Now, this is 2 weeks of no sleep, by the way. This is 2 weeks of like back to like the floor. They said, we'll let you know in a week, right? This was on a Thursday, the initial CW test. And I'm like, cool. So for that week, I don't sleep at all, because it's just like, at that point, you're like, I don't know. I can't stop thinking about, was that the right choice? Is this going to work? Should I just pack my bags and go back home? All of these things are kind of going through your mind. At the same time, you're still getting sent auditions. So I'm going out for like other pilots or other like one-offs, and it's like I'm so focused because I've already signed this contract. I've seen how much money I could make. I've seen you've basically held them in your hands, that this dream, right? You do your best to not think about it, but that's all I was thinking about at the time. I was 21 years old, and a week goes by, and Fred's like, I have news. And I'm like, oh shit, news is not good. News is not good news. It's just like, I have news. They want to extend your wait period, your hold period, because they're still trying to find Spencer. So they were still trying to find their Spencer. They had Tay. I think they had Monet at the time. I think Greta and Sam had gotten their offers like that. But they were like, if we go this route with the Spencer, we can't have you here or whatever. I don't know. So another week goes by, and I get a call at the end of, it was actually 3 days after my birthday, March 8th, from April Blair. And she's like, hey, it's April Blair. Do you remember me? I was like, no. Yeah, of course I remember you. What are you talking about? And she was like, cool, well, listen, if you're still, with us, we'd love to get started. And I was like, my heart just like sank in the best possible way, and I was just like, okay, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, all the things, and it was in that moment where I was like, holy shit, this is all kind of materializing, and it's all kind of coming together. And again, there's still lots of things that can go wrong, but that was the first moment where I was like, this is a real possibility. And just it's been a ride ever since.
So much of it is just timing and luck, and you could be the right person, but they get somebody else who doesn't pair well with.
Absolutely.
Wow.
There's so much that goes into booking a role that is sometimes outside of talent or skill. It's just like right place, right time. Absolutely. In some cases, I've seen some people are getting hired over an actor because of their social media status. Oh,
Did you have a following at that point?
No, not at all. I think I had like 2,000 people from Indiana, like some of the homies.
And you had one credit prior.
One credit prior, which, again, right place, right time. The fact that I even got that credit when I did. And I think that I really fit Jordan's description. I can remember when I first got the audition and I sent it to my best friend. His name's Eddie. I was like, Ed, check this out. And he's like, oh, that's yours. Like, that is like, you fit that description as far as like Jordan goes, and you can play that, and like this role is yours, which I think was like a nice subtle like boost that he gave me as like a homie, from the jump. Whenever I'm like, oh God, I'm getting auditions all day long, I don't know what to do with them. So yeah, just quite a journey.
Were you a big football fan growing up?
Oh, absolutely. I was born in Ohio, at the Ohio State University, and so football is I'm a huge Buckeye fan. But then I played football from the time I was 5 years old to junior year of high school, and brother played football, dad played football, little brother played football. So it is a common thing in our household. Every Sunday, Saturdays, whatever. Like, that's what we're doing. We got the chips and cheese and the wings and whatnot, and the Domino's pizza. And we're watching college football or whatever football's on.
What'd you think of Super Bowl yesterday?
Good to see the Chiefs lose.
You didn't want to see the three-peat though?
No, I mean, yes, that would have been really cool, and if that happened, cool. But no.
Not for them?
I didn't want to see it.
Oh, it would have been history.
Yeah, history will be made later. It's fine, Keep my boy Tom on top, I don't know. I'm a huge Tom Brady fan, so I know that he didn't get the three-peat, but he was close.
What makes college football so big in Ohio?
It's a good question.
Because in New Jersey, we didn't really care about college sports like that.
Because you guys produce a lot of high-class talent.
We do?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, especially defensive backs.
Oh.
I know it's a random fact, but like New Jersey is pretty known for their defensive backs. Ohio, I don't know what makes it. I think there's not a lot of things to do.
Right.
There's a lot of corn surrounding us. But Indiana too. But Indiana doesn't do as well with the football players. They're pretty good with basketball players, but I don't know. I think it's just Ohio State, for instance, is such a powerhouse of a school that I think that all the kids growing up in Ohio, their dream is to play at Ohio State, and so that just creates this level of intensity and a different caliber of player. Like, I think if you were to go to Alabama, there's probably a tremendous amount of kids who are great at football,
right?
Because they want to play for the Crimson Tide, or is it Ole Miss? No, that's Auburn. Yeah, Auburn.
In New Jersey, people just want to party at Rutgers.
Yeah, what is... Oh, Rutgers.
There's food trucks there that are game changers.
Food trucks at Rutgers. Yeah, it's not going to... I mean, you got good linemen over there, maybe. I don't know.
It could make sense. Do a lot of NFL players watch All-American?
I don't know about a lot, but there's definitely been a few, years ago, like Juju Smith-Schuster, reached out, and I thought that was crazy because I am a big Pittsburgh fan, and so he used to play for them. That was pretty neat. I think a decent amount of them do watch it and enjoy it. I mean, it is a true story about Spencer Paysinger, and I'm sure some of his teammates used to probably watched it as well.
How do you lock into a big filming day? Is there a lot of prep work the night before? Do you have an acting coach that you're going through the script with?
Not so much anymore. Nowadays, it's, again, with Jordan, it's different because I've been him for 7 years.
Like,
And
you know how
so,
he thinks. You know his
yeah,
mannerism.
I know how to get into him. I know how to, do all of those things, and I know how to learn a script or a scene rather, him a lot quicker before like season 1 through 4. I would sit the night before and stay up way too late, just like trying to make sure I had this memorized. Whereas now I can look over it once or twice the night before and roll up to work the next day and be fine.
What's the biggest pressure for you as an actor?
Mm.
Does it ever get to you that the cameras are on you, and if you're taking too long, you're costing a lot of budget?
Not so much on All American, no. Because again, the set it's a family. I've been working with the crew for the last 6 years. You know what I'm saying?
Same people?
Essentially the same people with maybe like a few tweaks here and there. But everybody who comes in is just added to the family. You know what I'm saying? And so, working with all the actors that I'm working with, I've been working with them, and we've been intimate with them, like in scenes, as far as just like being vulnerable in scenes with one another for 7 years. So I don't ever really feel pressure when it comes to All American. Now, like a different set, you get there the first day, you're like, hey, shit, on all these people.
Yeah, like you get to Grey's Anatomy. What's that like?
Oh man, I mean, that was I was young still. I think that was pre-strike. I was like 23 years old, and that was crazy because like you get to work for someone like Shonda Rhimes, and who is a powerhouse, and you get to work on this show that's been going for, at the time, 15 seasons, which, twice what we're doing, which is just, it's wild to me. But you talk about a well-oiled machine. I mean, everybody showed up, hit their mark, on their lines, all the things. So that was probably the highest amount of pressure I felt was that set, because it's just like, you don't want to mess up. I'm still very young. I don't know. I kind of know what I'm doing. Like, I'm still figuring this all out. Like, in this whole world of being an actor and acting, I'm trying to soak up as much as I can. But you go onto a set like that, which was, again, a great opportunity, a fun role, but the highest amount of pressure, because you don't want to mess up. You don't want to be like the guest star that's like, oh God, here we go.
Does adding Grey's Anatomy to your list of what you've done bring a lot of weight to your career now?
Maybe not to me. I mean, there's some people who are like, oh my God, I watch on Grey's Anatomy all the time. And I'm thinking like, it's really wild. But it makes sense because that show's going to have such a long tenure. Like, so many people are going to watch that forever. And so at some point they're going to roll through my episode, which is kind of cool. But I don't necessarily view it like that. I think it's another opportunity for me to just get better as an actor, and another opportunity for me to express and play a different version of not myself, but play a different character.
Are there any shows that you'd want to be part of, or any other characters that you want to try and create?
I would love to play a crooked police officer at some point, like a beat cop that's just like, or even a detective that's like hardened and like, man, we gotta, whatever the case may be, but who is not a good guy.
A New York cop? LA cop?
Sure, New York, Boston, whatever the hell, anywhere. But I think playing a villain is very salivating to me. Being the hero is everybody wants to be the hero. It's easy to be the hero, I think. But to be the villain, to be the person that like the viewer hates but loves to hate, but like can't stand but like loves at the same time. Oh man, that to me is salivating.
Is that what Heath Ledger's Joker stood out to you for?
Unequivocally, my friend. Unequivocally. He was so menacing, scary, but at the same time so subtle and relaxed. And it was, I don't know, captivating the first time I saw it. And that's what kind of sparked all of this, was seeing that film and being like, wow, wow, whatever I'm feeling in my heart is making it flutter. But this is just such a multi-layered performance, and just so, I don't know, the whole concept of The Dark Knight is, I can't even. It's hard for me to like put it into words, but it did something to me. Like it changed my DNA whenever I first saw that.
If you were to rewatch it now, do you watch it back with a different eye because you've been on the other side of the camera now?
Not necessarily that movie, because I've seen it like over 100 times. Like I used to watch that movie every weekend in college.
It's just like a solid movie all the time.
All the time.
Any time of day, any feeling you're having.
Sad, mad, happy, whatever.
Dark Knight.
Stressed, The Dark Knight. It's on my birthday, I always watch The Dark Knight. That's like my yearly thing now. But as far as watching like productions in general, absolutely. It's kind of hard to turn it off. It's like you know how the bread gets made. What is the saying? The meat gets cooked. What is it? You know how
the sausage gets made.
Thank you. The sausage.
Is it hot dogs?
You know how the sausage gets made, and so then it's hard to kind of watch the sausage getting made, or the sausage, and be like, oh, because there's sometimes where I'm like watching, like, oh, I see a mark. I see a mark on the ground.
Like tape.
Yeah, like it's the wide shot. Oh, I see the mark. And it's not like it's not gonna mess up the authenticity of the show, but it's just something that like I'm looking for, even when I'm not like trying to look for it.
Yeah,
it's something like that, or noticing like really really beautiful shots or one shots. I think there's a different type of appreciation for it as well, because you understand how hard it is to do certain things on a set.
Right.
Yeah.
What gets you excited as an actor when you see? Are there any like film days, whether you're in a stadium or if you have a large amount of extras that you get to work with? Like, what do you look forward to?
I like the days that are kind of meatier with dialogue. I think before, whenever we were playing football, favorite days are football field, because it's like I get to go out and play football. Like,
are you at the Rose Bowl?
We were at the Rose Bowl.
Wow.
Yeah, we shot. I dislocated my shoulder at the Rose Bowl, actually, which is
while filming
in the middle of a scene. Yeah, that was and it made the cut, which is cool.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, no, I'll tell that story in a second. But I think that what salivates me now, because again, Jordan's removed from the football field, so I don't kind of have that to play on. But it's the days that are full of dialogue and full of tension and oh my gosh, I can't even think of the word, but angst. To be able to have that and get into a scene, especially if I'm working with Greta or or Nate or OC or Khalil. Getting to do those types of intense scenes, that's just going to kind of pull a different emotion out of you. Because like you can rehearse the scene as many times as you want, and then you get into it, and you get into the meat and potatoes, and it kind of takes you a different direction in it. And that's what makes you salivate as an actor, is whenever you reach that high. You know how runners run, they reach a runner's high? There's a high that I have felt a few times in my life, being on sets where you're in the middle of a scene with somebody and all of a sudden just black out. You don't know. All of a sudden you wake up, like the cut has been called, and you wake up and you're back, because you get so lost in it that it's just like I remember doing scenes with Daniel or even Tay, like the really intense scenes where you're yelling at each other, and the next thing you know, you go to black, and it's this feeling of such elation, but it's what you chase. Every single scene, you chase that, right? So that's kind of what you look forward to.
Acting is such a cool art. Were you doing this before you moved out here?
So I did it.
You just did commercials and like modeling.
Commercials and modeling, and then I remember my agents were like, "We're gonna start pushing auditions on you." I was like, "Okay, I don't really know what to do with a script, like or anything like that. Creating a character that was foreign to me, right? I was just posing in front of a camera. That's easy. Anybody can do that."
Were they auditions for shows or just commercials?
For shows and like independent films in Ohio.
That's crazy.
Because like there's a really big market in Kentucky and Ohio for independent films because it's so cheap. So I can remember auditioning, putting myself on tape for Claire Simon, which is a casting director up in Chicago, and it was for Empire. And got a call back. They're like, "We need you to be in Chicago tomorrow." I was like, "Oh,
that quick?
All right, cool. That's fine. Yeah, I can do that." It's like a 4-hour drive. So I remember like going home and being like, "All right, I gotta call my work and be like, can I not come in tomorrow?" Which my boss was so cool at the pool, because I was a manager at a pool, at the public pool in Columbus, Indiana, and my boss was very chill, and thank God for Jim allowing me to go and drive to auditions and drive to shoots. But yeah, I remember doing the initial tape, And then like, we need you in Chicago tomorrow for an in-person callback. And I was like, okay, that's great, fantastic. But like, this is insane. So you go up there, you do the callback, and then as you're driving home, they're like, okay, cool. Can we have you come back tomorrow as well? You booked it for a fitting. I was like, oh, that's a really quick turnaround. This is kind of insane. I can't believe that this is happening. Again, one of those moments where it's like you don't really realize what's happening, and kind of what it means. You know, I didn't realize the magnitude of what it meant to like book a network show as a co-star. I think whenever you're on independent films, usually the budget's significantly lower, right? And so if you're on a network set, then they understand like, okay, this kid can handle a big budget, because you know, most minimum budgets I feel like are going to be at least $3 million, $4 million an episode. So once I got that, everything kind of switched, because I got that, and my manager saw that he was connected with my agent in Kentucky, and he wanted me out in LA quickly. And I was like, I don't have enough money, right? Because we go back to like the $3,500. But he's like, doesn't matter, come on out, we'll be fine. and he was right.
How do you break your shoulder on set?
Yeah, dislocated my shoulder. So we were doing a scene where it was a rain scene. It was raining, and basically it's the last play of the game before GAU ends up scoring this touchdown and they win. Jordan hands the ball to Spencer. Spencer runs around the outside. And so then at one point, Jordan and Spencer are running down the sideline together. And Jordan gets out in front of him to block the last guy to like allow Spencer to get into the end zone. And I blocked this guy with my shoulder.
Which was a no-go on your part?
No, like that wasn't when it did it. That wasn't, because like, you know, I played football. I know how to hit somebody. I know how to fall. I know what I'm doing. At least I think I do. And so I hit this guy with my shoulder, and for some reason it threw off my balance to the point where I was like, oh, I'm gonna fall. Okay, cool. I'm landing, and I landed on my belly, and my arms were out extended like this. And next thing I know, I just feel like the shoulder almost like drop, and I felt like I heard like a. I was like, that's not good. And I tried to get up, and I remember like trying to get up, and I was like, I can't put pressure on this. That's not good. Again, cameras are rolling. You know, Daniel's in the end zone celebrating. The whole sideline clears because we're all celebrating. We just won the national championship. This is a huge moment, and we only shot this twice because we have rain trucks. It's expensive, all the things. So I'm like, I can't get up. Fuck. And so then I eventually get up. One of my buddies, Alex, actually picks me up, and I'm like, my arm is fucked. My arm is fucked. I can't move it. And so they're like, the cameras are still rolling. So I like get into the pile of celebrating. I'm just like kind of like letting this arm dangle, and like yeah, whatever. Like, so we yell cut, and I think the stunt coordinator like was like basically on his way to me because he saw the whole thing. He's like, I know. I was like, Mike, my shoulder is fucked. He's like, I know. We're going to the locker room. And then the pain set in, and I was like, oh, this is terrible. Yeah.
Do they pop it back in?
They spent about 30 minutes in the UCLA, the Rose Bowl locker room, trying to pop the shoulder back in. When I tell you that's the worst pain I've ever had, and because the muscles around the socket basically were swelling. And so as much as he was yanking it around and doing all these like fun little tricks that were terrible to me, I'm laying on the floor crying, and Daniel and NK are behind, like just like they're crying because I'm in pain. Like with Scott, my trainer's there, and he's just like, God, what are we doing? And they can't get it back in, and so then eventually LAFD shows up, and they're like, what's going on? I was like, well, the shoulder, can't move it, all the things, right? And like, we got you, don't worry. They put a little juice in my veins, and the pain went away, which is fantastic. I was like, oh, wow, that's nice. But then the muscles stopped swelling, and then as soon as I got in the ambulance, it just went pop right back in.
And they got it back. That's the best feeling, right?
Yeah. Oh, my God. That was great. Now, the PT is still ongoing. Like, I still can't do pull-ups and things like that. This happened, I don't know, 6 months ago.
Were you done for the day after that?
No. That way we were not done at all.
Oh, so you still had more filming to do?
Not me, no, but they did. Yes, I was supposed to continue filming, but I went to the hospital and was there for a little while, and then went home because I couldn't go back to work until I was cleared, like a week later.
What's something the audience might not know about all the stunt coordinations that you guys do on set?
Everything's choreographed to a T.
Perfectly?
Ideally. Ideally, it's perfect. But obviously, there's missteps and things like that. That's how usually people get hurt, unfortunately.
Because sports shows are so intricate.
There's a lot of things. Like our sports coordinator, stunt coordinator rather. They're designing plays for us. Like the writers obviously are writing a concept, and so then our stunt coordinators are basically taking that and running with it, and they've created a lot of cool plays. Like we had the Jordan Baker special, which is Jordan tosses it to a running back, usually Spencer, and then Spencer would throw the ball to Jordan as he's going down the sideline for a touchdown. That's cool to be able to do some plays like that. But I guess, there's a lot that goes into just like one play, and everybody has to hit their mark. And I guess one of the things that you wouldn't know as a viewer is there are doubles, but in the show, Daniel and I did a lot of our own stuff because we wanted to.
So that's by your choice because you guys can do it.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Cody as well.
What's one of the biggest perks of being the lead on a show for 7 seasons? Do you get your own catering?
No, I now I'm the record. Let me set the record straight. I was not the lead. I was a lead. But to be a lead for 7 seasons, there's definitely perks. There's you have the network behind you. You have the studio behind you, and you get to do cool opportunities like this. You know what I'm saying? To help promote the show. I'm trying to think about maybe some of the things. I mean, I could bring my dog on a set, and that was pretty nice. But no, we all have the same catering, and I'm trying to think if there's anything like extra cool that I got. I get to steal clothes sometimes from.
You get to keep the stuff?
Well, you don't get to keep them, but we do keep some pieces. I'm not gonna go crazy in there, but the clothes just sit in the warehouse, so like I'm gonna use them. I'm not gonna let them get dusty.
What can people expect from season 7 of All American?
We are going back to high school. We are going back to Beverly Hills and South Crenshaw, the hallways that are filled with so much passion, so much love triangles, tropes, angst, all the things that you've missed since we've left high school. We are going back to that, and these new characters, these new actors are bringing a level of intensity that is very refreshing. It's very refreshing because it's contagious. And when you go to work, it's they're bringing so much heat and intensity. And it's like, all right, cool, let me turn it up too. And so to have that new energy is very peaceful in a weird way, in a nice way rather. But yeah, what can you expect for season 7? We're going back to the basics, and for my character, he's tapping into something that his dad did, and his dad was really good at, and so there's a lot of pressure in that regard because he wants to be the best version of himself, but he wants to make Billy proud beyond the grave, all the things. I think it'll be a good season. I really do.
Mondays, CW.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much for making the time. Thanks for coming by.
Of course, I appreciate the opportunity.
Cool. That waits out. That was so good.
Boom.